Heather.
Hello.
Last time we talked, you talked about how you've been dealing with some problems related to perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
So I was hoping that today we could talk a little bit more about that and go from there.
Okay.
So could you describe to me a little bit how perfectionism is affecting your life?
Well, it's weird because people say things like, oh, I'm such a perfectionist, but like they don't understand, like it's actually not fun to be like my anxiety pushes me to do 100% of the time, and anything short of that, my brain processes as failure, which is fine, except for the fact that I know that like I set really unrealistic goals for myself. My biggest problem isn't so much with my own goals, it's that I have those weirdly high expectations of others that people can't meet. And that's an extension when it's me and my stuff that I have to deal with. Like, I'm getting better at being like, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be done. Make sure you're just, stay focused on the task, right? But then with other people, I expect them to like meet my standards of excellence instead. So that's something that I've been practicing like in my professional and personal lives, is like, just because I have these standards for people doesn't mean that they are real standards for other people, because I shouldn't put my self expectations, I guess I should be more clear. My expectations of self are too high, and I know that for myself, so I have to not let that transfer into other people. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So how does it transfer over into other aspects of your life?
So I catch myself thinking, well, this is how I would do this, or like, why hasn't she called me yet today? Or, I would have texted by now, or I would have been over this by like, and I kind of caught myself making too many comparative statements, if that's a thing. Like, I would have done this differently. Well, that's great, but everybody does things different. Like, trying really, really, really hard to be like, just because you have super high expectations doesn't mean that they're real, necessary, and apply to other people, because other people have different self expectations of self that they're doing their best to handle. So they don't need extra pressure from me being like, do the thing I say when I say to do it. Like, get over the thing. Like, if we're in an argument and and I'm like, it's been 2 days, why are you still mad? Because you're still mad, that's okay. Like, does that make, I feel like it sounds really shitty to say out loud, but like, letting my friends just be who they are, because they're people I love in their whole selves, so I don't have to try to control how they react. I mean, really, I think it all boils down to like letting go of control and trying to deal with that. Does that at all answer your question? I kind of just went on a tangent there.
So you think underlining everything is that you struggle with you want to have control over the aspects of your life?
I think so. I think it started academically. I think it started like when I was little with parents who were like, anything less than honor roll is not good enough.
Mm-hmm. So is that like one of your earliest memories?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. My dad was also hugely into, he was in the military. He worked in the jails. So he was really, really good at, if it's not perfect, it's wrong. Mm-hmm. It was very black and white thinking. It was either good or bad. Room for improvement was an opportunity for discipline, not an opportunity for coaching. So definitely, I think I must have been probably still in elementary school, definitely by 5th grade. Because I remember having a moment in 5th grade where like I got a 98 and I cried and like got made fun of, but like other people got hundreds. If I had just worked a little harder, I could have gotten a 100, but I didn't. I only got a 98. And I did that up until I finished grad school. I mean, the fact that I finished grad school with a 397, I mean, what did I finish my master's in? 17? Like, it bothered me for a good 6 months after I finished my degree. Even though I won a major award, even though I was selected out of a whole pool of students to like give the commencement address and like I do cool stuff, I was still like, a 397 is not a 4.0. And like, my logical brain is like, shut up, that's really good. But it all stems back to like, to me in my mind, it ties back to dad and being like, your room's not clean enough. And my mom being like, you didn't lose enough weight at the nutrition. Like, nothing was ever enough. And so I've internalized that, I think. And then it plays out in weird places. Like, if I make a dinner that's not exactly right, I'm like, oh, fucked up dinner. I didn't burn it. It's not poisonous. It's just not perfect. But that's okay. Other people don't see it because they're like, these are delicious chicken tenders. Like, and I'm like, I cooked them a minute too long. So it kind of leads to like an abundance of self-criticism. Like, I feel like I have to confess, like, this is not my best work. When, if it's good, it's okay. Like, I feel like I fight with this all the time. Like, it's okay to not be 100% of the time. But it's definitely hard. But yeah, I think it really comes from parents who were very like, this is the way things are. And if they're not that way, then they are wrong. Mm-hmm. That's it, that's all.
And so, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being it's not that bad, to 10, it's at its worst, where would you say right now those feelings of having to be in control are, and the anxiety around being a perfectionist, as you said, would be?
Given the current like global pandemic, I feel like I'm doing really, really well, because every time I feel myself getting to like, oh my god, I'm like 80% of the time, if 80% of the people, like, I keep reminding myself, like, you shouldn't be striving for awesomeness. If you can't get out to your mom's every weekend to bring her groceries, so be it. If you can't get her dog to the groomer because groomers are closed, it's okay. You don't have to learn how to groom dogs. Like, it can just not be done right away. It's okay. Like, so I feel like I've been practicing it. I know that when it comes to being an educator, I keep trying to push myself to be 100% of the time. So that's been hard, but again, I'm practicing. I always say I'm practicing cutting myself slack, because it's not something I'm good at. So I'm like, okay, you know what? If you didn't meet with that student on Wednesday last week, that's okay. Email them, follow up, see where they were. Nothing, you didn't break anything. You didn't destroy anything. You didn't burn anything to the ground. You just had a bad day. So I'm trying to like remember that when I go from like, oh my gosh, it's not perfect, it doesn't have to be complete garbage either. It can be like just not perfect. And then you can walk away. And it's okay, because you did what you could.
So it sounds like you're making great progress and you're really trying to work on it. So how would, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you say you're at right now?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't answer your question.
Just totally okay.
Probably a 6. I think it's still a little bit higher than I would like it to be. Mm-hmm. But I'm practicing like gratitude that it's not an 8. Mm-hmm. It spikes a little bit from time to time, but at the end of the day, I'm also like, okay, no, this is okay. Like, if you don't do the dishes before you go to bed, do you know what happens? Nothing happens. And so like, I feel like that 6 is hard fought. Because like, when it's bad, when it's an 8, 9, like the house is cleaned up, I'm vacuumed, the dishes are done, my coffee is prepared to turn on the next morning, like everything's, and I'm like, no, it's okay. Leave the dirty dishes in the sink if you are grown. No one's gonna come yell at you. Mm-hmm. No one's gonna say, your house is messy. Who cares? It's a house. So I feel like it's a hard fought 6, but I feel like I'm holding there. I think that once, being in grad school is a nightmare. But I think that once things start to wind down with the virus, I think I'll be even better, because clearly if I can operate at a 6 in a pandemic, what if I can do a 4 when it's not 1? Like, that's a cool opportunity for growth to me. Mm-hmm. So I just keep setting my mind, like, set these habits now while you're social distancing, while you're home, to not do the dishes, to not make it perfect, to not straighten the curtains if they're messed up, like, and sit in that. So that maybe someday it's a 4. Because I know it was a 10. I mean, certainly during my master's degree, for sure. Because everything had to be perfect.
So if a miracle were to happen when you went to sleep tonight, and you woke up, and those feelings went from a 6 to a 0, what would your life be like?
What would my life be like without perfectionism? I think I'd still be a hard worker. Just because I enjoy working hard. I think it makes me feel whole in a weird way. Like I like to be involved. I think I'd sleep better. I'd probably have less stomach trouble. I'm learning how to laugh more. I didn't realize how bad I had gotten with like my need to be on, my need to be like the thing. So I think I'd be a little bit more just like chill. I don't know. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I get really intense about things, and I think if it were gone, it would be just sort of like a I think that's part of why I want to keep working on it, because I believe wholeheartedly that the is possible. I need to do the work to get there. And like, I mean, I'm older, and clearly stuff from my parents is like a big deal, but also that was then, this is now, and moving forward and being like, but your dad's not going to show up at your house and yell at you about the dishes being done. He's not even alive anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So let it go. Like, trying to be very realistic about like, you're grown now. You can do the work. You can make it go away. And that's why I reach out for help, because sometimes I don't have all the tools necessary.
And I think that's great that you can recognize that. And I think that shows how much work you've put in already. And what goals do you have for yourself to kind of, get to one day to that place? What would you say is like a big goal for you? To that place where it kind of, as it sounded like the weight was kind of off your shoulders, you could breathe a little bit easier.
Well, one of my goals is to finish my PhD. Just because I know that I love academia. I love what I do. I love everything about my program, but I know that it feeds my anxiety, the desire to finish, and my concerns about publishing. So that's just sort of like a slow and steady long-term, like year and a half out, at this point.
But maybe like a short-term goal that you could work towards.
To stop, to recognize in myself that most often when I get annoyed with other people, it's because they have acted or reacted in a way I feel is inappropriate. And I need to accept that, but that's what they think is the best solution. I can think all day about 1,001 other things I would have done that would have been far more productive and far better, but I get stuck in that. And I feel myself get stuck where I'm just like a car stuck in the snow. Mm-hmm. And so my short-term goal is actually identifying it as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'm really good at it. And other times it's like 2 weeks later and I'm like, are you serious? I was doing that for 2 weeks and it just didn't click. So continuing to do that so that I can stop trying to you can't control other people, dude. Mm-hmm. You can't. It doesn't matter how right you are. It doesn't matter how smart you are or what evidence you have. Some people aren't going to wear masks in public. Mm-hmm. Me yelling at them is not going to change their mind. So I can only control my reactions to things, and really owning the fact that as I deal with my personal issues with perfectionism and the anxiety that it constantly makes happen in my body, is also accepting there are things you can't fix, change, or control. And that's okay. And nothing's wrong. And you can keep fighting the good fight, but you don't have to become like such a jerk about it. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I can get really like, I want to say something nice like headstrong or assertive, but I think it's just mean. And I don't like it. So my goal actually for the next 6 months is to be mindful of the times that people act in a way that I can either fix, stop, or control, and letting it go. Not ruminating on, why did you do that? It's one thing to yell at a TV during a sporting event. It's another thing to be like, you've been my friend for 20 years. Why did you do that? And like, when that's their choice, man. Sure, of course you bought a house during a pandemic. That's a great idea. Yeah, so I think that's realistic. Because being able to figure out what I can control, and with perfectionism, everything makes me want to have hyper control. And being like, there's a difference between like, I'm going to go to the grocery store today and I can't have anything less than a 4.0 in my doc program. So I guess a weird goal is that like, I have a 4.0 right now. And I'm not working to, I mean, I'm working at the top of my game because at this point in my academic career, like, you are expected to be there, but also understanding that not every paper is going to be 100. Cool. Not every assignment's going to get 27 posts on the message board. Cool. Do your thing. Stay in your lane. Worry about you. It's okay. You don't have to be like the shining star of the world. Just be your own little shining star. And like my mom's.
Have you seen your anxiety rise recently with the fact that it's kind of finals time? And I know you're working on your thesis right now and your dissertation for your PhD. Have you seen a rise in it at all with kind of it being crunch time?
Yes and no. I'm really into my research area. I guess you kind of have to be. So sometimes it spikes when I'm like confronted by how much work has to be done in this area. And then I remember I have a little sticky note on my desk that says, you aren't trying to cure cancer. You can't fix it in one day. And you have to keep trying. So whenever I feel myself be like, oh my God, education is so racist, I have to be like, it's been here before you, it will be here after you. You can do only the work you can in this area. And like the woman in my program who told me when I started off a couple years ago, she's like, when you have your PhD, you're an expert in this much. That's it. This is your expertise. On a whole continuum of expertise, you get your inch. And so remembering like, as long as I'm well prepared in my inch, I'm good. But I don't have to know everything. And I've gotten really comfortable using, you know what, I don't know, let's look that up. And not trying to act like I have to know it all, which is nice, because I do know a lot about a lot. But I feel like it's really human to be like, I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, there have been definite peaks, but for the most part, it's a consistent, and again, I'd probably say it's a 6. Because writing my research proposal and knowing that I have to defend and knowing that I have to write, do research and then write, and it's a time, it's a thing. Which is one of the reasons why I wanted to address this now. Because the more I talk about it, the more I'm aware of it, the more I'm aware of it, the more I can address it, the more I address it, the more it improves. So, and I feel better. So, pretty good.
So what are some strategies when your anxiety, you know, if it's kind of at a 6, but when it does spike to above a 6, what are some things that you personally do for yourself now that kind of help bring it down?
I watch comedies because I learned really quickly that laughing makes things so much better. I will call my sister and just like talk to her on the phone for an hour about it, and she'll be like, you want to talk about school? No, I just want to talk. I want to reconnect with something outside of my like academic brain. If I'm frustrated and anxious, I will actually exercise because I need to like burn it off. Like my body feels better after like a good 30 minutes on the elliptical of like burning it off. And usually while I'm exercising, like an aha moment will happen. And I'm like, oh, I can just do that. Well, that's so much easier. Okay, never mind. All right. I was going to take naps, but then I felt like the naps were not. Every once in a while they work. They give me a chance to reset. But I found that I was napping like 2 times a day for a week, and I was like, you're avoiding, you're not resetting. You're just like, I'm stressed out, I'm going to bed. Not, I'm stressed out, I'm gonna go read a book, or I'm gonna go listen to my audiobook, or it was just, I'm done. And sometimes it's okay to quit, but also I don't wanna have to be like, I'm done. I wanna be like, so we could just take a breath, we could go outside. Why don't we take the garbage out? Why don't we break, like I'll close my laptop and just like put it away, and I won't work anymore. Cause I'm like, nope, we're not doing this today. If you can't treat yourself with kindness, you need to walk away. So, and then I usually like, I don't know, I try to do nice things for myself. Like when on payday, I go and buy myself flowers and like just little things that remind me like you're a human being. Human beings can't be perfect all the time. So it helps.
And those sound like some great strategies, and I think it's great that you already have so many, and you've been able to reflect on the fact that napping maybe isn't the best for you, but then you have all these other ones. I think that's fantastic. I thought something that might be helpful to you is, it kind of sounds like you kind of give yourself these self-affirmations sometimes.
I try.
When, you know, things are, your anxiety is kind of overtaking everything. It sounds like you like try to talk to yourself and kind of have that self-talk, and I think that's great. And I would love to maybe come up with 3 affirmations that you could say to yourself when, you know, even if it's a day where it's at a 6 or a day it's at an 8 or any time, just to help kind of refocus yourself. Could you think of any? You know, they can be like, I am enough. I don't have to be in control. Like, it can be anything that you think is going to help bring you back down, center you.
For me, one that I use all the time is, it's not that deep. Because there are things that are that deep. There are things that are really serious that really have to require, but you don't have to address everything with the urgency of a sick parent. It's not that deep. Just relax. It's okay. If you're having trouble, reach out. It's not that deep to ask for help. It's okay. Like, reminding myself that I don't have to take everything as seriously as initially my brain is like, everything is crazy. How can we fix it? How can we change it? How can we make it better? It's just, it's not that deep. Step back. And then in stepping back and recognizing that it's, quote, not that deep, I'm able to like self-assess. Okay, so one of my favorite things to do is like, am I tense? Carrying a lot of tension in my shoulders, so I have to strap. Like, I try to do like, what can I do now? And like, once I stop the thought or pause the thought, I don't know if I ever really stopped them yet, but I definitely can get them to like pause for a second. Yeah, it being able to like say things like, I'm enough is weird, but I'm practicing, like, because then I'll say, it's not that deep. I'm okay. I'll do that one a lot, I guess, more than I'm enough. I'll be like, I'm okay. Everything's okay. And I'll kind of make a joke out of it, but in making the joke about it, I'm drawing on like the coping mechanism of laughter. So like, I mean it. I'm laughing because I'm like, Heather 20 years ago would not have been able to say like, I'm okay, it's okay, and regroup. I would have been, I'm okay, it's okay, and stomped out of the room. So like, I do like that one a lot.
So you kind of say, it's not that deep, that's kind of your first one. And then you say, I am okay, it's your second one. And you sometimes say, I am enough as your
Sometimes, more often, I think I say things like, that's enough. Like, whatever I've done is enough. Did you not make 2 side dishes with dinner? That's okay. Did you not eat salad every day this week? That's okay. You ate enough vegetables. No one from the salad police is going to come by and be like, you only ate 4 of 6 salads this week. No one's going to do that. The salad police is not a thing. I do it with my homework a lot too. Like, I'll get super into a writing assignment and then I'll be like, whoa girl, nobody wants to read your little micro dissertation on this. Have you said what you wanted to say? Have you said it clearly? Have you found evidence? Have you presented evidence? That's enough. you don't need to like get preachy on people, I guess, like where you're just like, like you don't need to do that.
Mhm.
It's cool. If people want to know more, they'll ask. If they don't, they won't. It's okay. It's enough.
So do you think we could work on kind of having that third one be I am enough?
Yeah.
Instead of, kind of saying I didn't, like that was enough.
Yeah, I can work on that. It's weird, but I can work on it.
And those can kind of be like your 3 things that you say to yourself maybe when, your anxiety is higher.
Yeah.
And your perfectionism is kind of affecting school or work, life.
I can do that.
And have you ever heard of mindfulness breathing before?
Yeah, I don't like it.
You don't like it?
No, one of my coworkers is really into it. She likes to start faculty meetings with mindfulness minutes where we just sit there and, no, I'm good. At work. I think at home I might be more open to it, but at work I have too many thoughts going on, and to have that moment of stillness, no, I need to stay in the minute that I'm in. I can't. But in the evenings, I always tell people I sit and think thoughts, where I just kind of like let things roll through, and if it's interesting, I'll think about it, and if it's not interesting, I'll just kind of let it move through. And also I have an app on my watch that reminds me to breathe. So when it taps me and is like, hey girl, get your breaths in. I'm like, I can do that. But again, not at work, only at home.
So maybe at work you can stick with the mantras and stuff and kind of stay inside your head. But maybe would you be open to trying a mindful breathing exercise with me now that maybe you could use at home?
Sure.
Okay. So it's called square breathing, and I'll demonstrate it for you. So you're gonna hold out your hand like this, and you're gonna make a square. So you're going to breathe in for 4 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're gonna hold that breath for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're gonna release your breath for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just relax for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Would you be open to trying that?
Sure.
Okay.
Seems kind of dorky though, not gonna lie.
And then maybe the swag is something you can do at home, so it's not in front of
Right.
people
I don't
at
want to
work
be around my coworkers being like,
making a
1,
square.
2, 3, 4. Heather's by casting spells on us. I'm doing no such thing. Okay, so finger like this.
Yeah, and I'll count for you, so you
Okay.
can just focus on
So what
it.
am I doing first? Am I breathing in?
Yes, so you're gonna breathe in for 4 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, so breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then just relax for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you want to try it one more time?
No.
Okay. That's okay.
But I will agree to try it again later. I can follow up with an email and let you know.
Yeah. Next session, you can tell me how you already were starting to kind of like catch when you had these thoughts and try to change them. And so along with catching and changing, I think is fantastic that you're already doing that. I want you to, when you're at work and you have those thoughts, you can use those mantras that we came up with. And then you can use the square breathing and give it a try. And it's okay if you don't end up liking it. You can try something else next session if you don't like that. But give it a try when you're at home and you're not in front of people, so you can actually like do the square and see if it works for you. But we've talked a lot today.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
About kind of how these feelings kind of started in your childhood, kind of with your parents, and how that still affects you now, and how you're doing amazing things in graduate school and you're getting a PhD, but it's also kind of been causing some of these perfectionism things to happen, and so has the pandemic that's been going on. But you have some strategies now that you came up with, and we have that goal to kind of keep bringing it down from a 6 to a lesser number as we go. So I want you, for homework for next session, catch it and change those thoughts like you're already doing. Use those mantras that we talked about, and then try the square breathing.
All right, I'm going to try it.
And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for
Sounds
coming
good.
today, Heather.
Thank you so much.